Welcome to Black and Gold Digital Edition, a behind-the-scenes look at your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hi, and welcome to Week 11 of our digital show. I'm Jay Pushkar alongside Kent Urbanski and Mike Fenner. And guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers are off to a good start to this second half portion of their season, being able to defeat the New Orleans Saints 20-10 at Acrisure Stadium. Kent, just the fact that Pittsburgh was able to come out of their bye week, play awfully well. TJ Watt came back. Boy, what a shot in the arm he was for this defense.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's so nice to be able to do the show after a win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's been a long time coming.
Right, the excitement level is a little higher, but what a great, shot in the arm that TJ brought back. And right off the bat, as soon as he was introduced, coming out, out of the tunnel, and you could feel the electricity in the stadium. And that man is just such a difference maker. Alex Highsmith is, player of the week, and I think that is a direct result of TJ coming back and them having the game plan for that.
And Mike, you did a story earlier in the week going down to their practice about Alex Highsmith and his numbers. I mean, it certainly reflects when TJ's in the lineup, Alex really elevates his game.
And it's not always about sacks or all about sacks, but in 2 games, he has 5 quarterback takedowns when Watt is playing, and without him in those 7 games, just 3.5 sacks for Highsmith. So it's obvious to see the difference that a guy like TJ Watt, defending Defensive Player of the Year, can bring to the table for other guys to free them up to make those plays. Because that offensive line, those guys chipping in there to block, they've got to account for number 90 in a big way. So it allows those other guys to be freed up and make those plays. And good to see the recognition for TJ Watt's return from the fans, and then the recognition for Highsmith with that Defensive Player of the Week award in the AFC, his first for the Charlotte product.
And the win-loss statistics with him in and out of the game is
it's only
crazy.
1 win,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. One.
Yeah.
That's it. That's just nuts. I mean, if that's not a difference maker, I don't know what is. Right.
That's all it comes down to is wins
Yeah,
and losses.
yeah.
And they always say it can't be just one player. This is the ultimate team sport. But in this case,
Right.
number 90 is a game wrecker. Whether his numbers reflect it, he certainly makes other players elevate their game. And guys, I mean, even Robert Spillane had a great game.
Yeah.
And that secondary's been banged up. There's been a lot of shuffling going on. They played exceptionally well, knowing that Andy Dalton didn't have a lot of targets to throw to.
Right. Yeah. When you look at the Philly game and the balls that the contested passes that they lost, and then they turned around in this game and won them, and it's a difference maker in the game.
When you don't have to cover as long with
Yeah.
that successful rush, too, that makes you a better defensive back automatically. I mean, if you don't have to cover as long in man-to-man situations because of that fierce pass rush, you're going to have better
Right.
chances to make those plays, and they executed and made them.
Offensively, they reached the magic number. They got to 20 points. I mean, that seems to be their benchmark of the season. Kenny Pickett played pretty well. They're still moving the ball from 20 to 20. They're not really able to finish off drives. They missed some field goals. However, the running game was back in full force.
Right.
Najee Harris just a yard shy of 100 in a game. And Jaylen Warren continues to play really well, a guy that was not drafted going into this
Great
season.
compliment to Najee in this game, and the swing passes were so effective, and they kept running them, and they had New Orleans had no answer for them. So that man, he just runs the ball hard, he plays hard, and then you look at Najee, one yard away from getting his first 100-yard game. He was running with authority in that game. It seemed like he was attacking the line of scrimmage and not dancing around back there so much. So maybe it was a little game change in his efforts that made the difference.
Mike, how big was it for this team to finally have an established running game, even if it wasn't just one particular guy?
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett ran well with the ball when he had to, just because the way the line has been all season, but it brings balance to this offense.
No doubt. That's what we've been saying for weeks is they need to find a way to have a semblance of balance so that you aren't forcing a rookie quarterback to throw the ball 40, 50, 60 times in a game. When you have that balance, it keeps the defense honest. You can stay ahead of the chains. You're not getting into 3rd and longs constantly. It's huge. They've had to have that balance. And you look up and you see 217 rushing yards. You see the yards per carry. It's massive. They need to find a way to find that consistency now in the run game and build off of that, because now they've shown they can do that, and that's the winning formula for this team, is to have that defense, get after them. They hold New Orleans under 200 yards. They win the turnover battle 2-0, and then they run the ball. That's what they've got to be right now until they get their quarterback further along, they get that pass protection more shored up, and then they get these receivers making more dynamic plays. That's the way they've got to win.
Steelers are now 2-2 at home, and they continue their home stand as they welcome in Cincinnati, and this will be a rematch of Week 1. Both you guys were in Cincinnati for that crazy finish and just the will to win. Offensively, things weren't really going, but their defense, Mika Fitzpatrick, he was also the AFC Player of the Week after that performance. A lot has changed since week 1. How does Pittsburgh match up against Cincinnati, a team that's still on the cusp of trying to grab first place in the North?
7 sacks again would be a great start, right?
Yeah.
You know, like they got in Cincinnati.
Or 5 takeaways
Right,
to
or
no
5
turnovers.
takeaways,
Holy
right.
cow.
But, you know, we lost TJ Watt in that game too, you know, so, and that was early, and they still played well. So I think you're going to have a similar defensive effort. Joe Burrow's not Andy Dalton, you know, so and he's lost Jamar Chase, so I mean that's a big weapon for him to lose. But you know, you still have guys like Tyler Boyd that can make a difference down the field. So and if he's not open, Joe's been running the ball a little bit now more. So I think they can contain all of that. The guy you really got to watch for is Joe Mixon. He has that capability to open up a game and keep the defense on, you know, stretching third downs and keeping that defense on the field and wearing them out. But if they can get off the field more than, you know, than they're on with stopping some of those third down runs with Mixon, then I think they have a chance to win the game. And I think it's a low-scoring 2017 type game. Again, you know, Steelers, unless some miracle they get up in the 20 late or high 20s or even the 30s. I don't see that happen, and they're not quite there yet. But I'd like to see it. It'd be great for them to put out some points.
I almost feel like the temperature at Acrisure Stadium is going to be more favorable than the score will indicate, just because it's been a struggle for at least Pittsburgh to get anything north of 20 points.
Yeah, also I think the weather is going to play a factor too. Maybe not as severe as Buffalo with the Cleveland matchup. That could be an interesting game if they even play. But I think the weather could also play a factor and favor Pittsburgh. I think both Cleveland at Buffalo, Pittsburgh at home against Cincinnati, I think those two teams actually could be favored in the way they want to play the game and maybe just kind of grind it out, run the football, play tough defense. It's funny, Joe Mixon's actually had a tough season until that Carolina game. He really broke out, had a huge game, but his expected yards per carry based on blocking he hasn't had the season that Bengals fans are hoping for. I think the Steelers can do a good job containing him and did that mostly in the first matchup. T. Higgins was more of a factor, but like you said, Jamar Chase with the injury, favorable for the Steelers to not have to worry about that as much. And I think low scoring as well, and I just feel like it's going to be a close game no matter what. I don't think anyone's pulling away in this one.
Well, it's a divisional game.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where you look, and I mean, we saw just the other night, you know, the Commanders pulling off the upset against the Eagles. I mean, so you get into these divisional games, you know, the Jets beating the Bills. I mean, you never know. And then if you're optimistic, Pittsburgh wins. They're now 4-6.
Right.
They're still not completely out of it, but it should be a lot of fun this Sunday, as this game has been flexed to now a 4:25 kickoff at Acrisure Stadium. We'll have all the coverage for you going into week number 11. For Ken Urbanski and Mike Fenner, I'm Jay Pushkar. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next week for Black and Gold Digital Edition.